Number 1. I'm a firefighter paramedic in a large suburban city. My partner and I responded to a difficulty breathing call in some low-income high-rises about 0200 one morning. Not unusual. We get to the floor it was on. The elevator opens, and immediately we hear this cackling laughter from down the hall. So we start heading toward the apartment where the call came from, and of course that's where the laughter is coming from. So we knock, and the laughing voice says, "Come in." We open the door, and there's a large 300-pound woman sitting on a chair shaped like a high-heeled leopard print shoe in the middle of a pitch black apartment. The only light is coming through the doorway from the hall. So we ask if there was a medical problem, and the woman says she called because she can't breathe. Mind you, she is continuously laughing, and I mean laughed through our entire contact with her. So we reluctantly head inside. I was writing, so my partner begins to assess her. Vitals are good, lungs sound fine. I ask her why she's laughing, thinking it might be an asthma attack or an abnormal breathing pattern that just sounds like laughing. A female voice that answers from out of darkness in the corner of the room startles the crap out of us. My partner shines a pocket light toward the voice, and there's an even more obese woman lying on a bare mattress on the floor, eating a bowl of what looked like cooked beef with her bare hands. The beef eater says the woman on the shoe chair is just acting a fool. So I asked the woman who called us if we could take her to the hospital. Before she can answer, a door opens up at the end of the apartment hallway. Light briefly pours out, and an unseen man's voice yells, "Shut the fuck up!" At this point, my partner and I are done. The woman on the shoe, still laughing, says she doesn't want to go to the hospital. I have her sign off and start for the door. The kitchen door to the apartment is next to the exit door, so my partner shines the hand light in there as we leave, because we're both on edge. In the pitch black kitchen, there's a skinny person washing dishes in the sink who doesn't even look up at us when the light shines into the room. We nope the fuck out of there, drag the cot back to the elevator as fast as possible, and try to convince ourselves we didn't just escape from the Twilight Zone. I've been in drug houses before, seen some nasty shit, but nothing as surreal and weird as that. Number 2. I was sleeping over at a friend's small apartment, mid-80s, on the floor in a sleeping bag between his bed and his little sister's bed. In the middle of the night, I woke up suddenly, but not alarmed, just suddenly, very clearly wide awake. A quiet man's voice in my head said, "You should get up and move." I don't remember even questioning it, or it seeming weird, so I got up over the bag to the foot of his bed and went back to sleep. Sometime later, early morning, there's a huge crash. We all sit up alarmed. His cat had jumped up and somehow taken down a shelf holding this gigantic wooden 70s style stereo set, the kind with boxy wooden speakers, a turntable, cassette, and 8 tracks, etc. Probably 60 to 80 pounds of gear total. It fell maybe 4 feet and landed right where my head would have been. Mike yelled my name and rolled over. He didn't see me down there. Looked around, panicky-like. Of course, I was down by his feet. We just stared for a second and soaked in the implications. Number 3. I was about 12 or 13 when I lived on 5+ acres of land that was literally wide open as far as the eye could see. Even outside the property, no trees, no buildings, nothing. It was summer and I was outside mowing grass and my father was working in the garden when out of nowhere, a passenger jet, I have no idea what kind, perhaps a 747, came over the property so low I could see the windows clearly and hear the immense roar of the engine. I could literally feel the pulsing of the engine. I stopped mowing and started running back to my house, and my father started running back to the house, and we just stopped and stared at it. I look at my father and ask, "What is happening?" He looks at me and shrugs and talks, screams actually, about how cool this is. Mid-scream sentence, the sound is gone, and he's clearly yelling over nothing. We look up and there is no plane. Nothing. We hop in his truck and drive all over the damn township looking for this plane that was clearly low enough to be seen by people. We did have neighbors, just nothing big enough to block out any sections of the sky. No one saw or heard anything. They all looked at us like we were crazy. We just watched the news for the rest of the day, waiting for something to come up about a missing jet or an unexplained low-flying jet, something. Nothing came about it. To this day, it still freaks me out. Number 4. I was working in a 7-Eleven graveyard shift. All unexplainable stuff happens at that time. But there's one that stands out. It was 2 a.m. and there were no customers. I was playing Plant vs. Zombies on my phone until this guy enters the store, looking like he was running from someone. He told me that no matter what, if someone asks for him, don't tell them that he's hiding here. I told him okay. By this time, I was so confused because he's holding a cage with 2 rats. And then he proceeded to get 2 sachets of Veet, a bag of Doritos, and toothpaste. He asked me if anybody's outside and I told him no. So he gave me 1,000 pesos, around $25. Told me to keep the change and then ran outside. I tried to give him his change still, but I tripped, so I decided just to keep it. A day after, a police came to the store asking if an old guy came here. I told him yes. They asked me questions. What did the guy buy? What was with him when he went here, etc. All of which I answered honestly. When they were leaving, I asked, "What did the old guy do?" The policeman just smiled and walked out of the store. Until now, I don't know what he did, who he was running from. When I got a copy of our local newspaper, I saw that the old guy was dead. Number 5. When I was 12, I woke up in the middle of the night, terrified of my windows. My whole body was in complete fear mode and it told me to stay away from my windows. I wasn't a kid to be afraid of the dark or anything, so my fear was super unusual. I slowly got up out of bed and made my way to the foot of the stairs, one of the only places in the house away from any windows. There was a solid wood front door, which I stood in front of and looked up in the direction of my sleeping parents on the 2nd floor. I saw our little apricot poodle simply sitting at attention at the top of the stairs. The lazy bastard was never up at night. Just then, a bluish-white light poured out of the peephole in the front door and beamed its way onto the front stairs. I couldn't handle the implications of the light streaming in from the peephole like that, and ducked under the light and walked with my head down to my bed and closed my eyes under the covers. In the morning, my mom's friend said that on a talk show radio station, people were calling in about seeing strange lights over the city that prior night. Number 6. Several years ago, my mom wakes me up in the middle of the night to come look at my dad. She said she was woken up by his body flashing lights. He raised up his shirt, and you could see waves of electricity going through his body, lighting up his stomach and back in the dark. They were so bright that you could see all his blood vessels in his body. This only happened that night and never happened again. We are both baffled to this day. Number 7. A few years ago, my best friend and I were sharing a house out in the country. One of her children was being fussy and wouldn't sleep, so we decided to take a drive down some back roads. About 10 minutes after I start driving, we are pretty far into the boonies of my city, where the street lights are few and far between, and everything is terrifying. I only glimpsed them, but I swear to God, I saw a pack of 3 or 4 of the most mismatched creatures ever. They were like little pigs, with human teeth and eyes, but their skin was an odd shade of pink, and it was wrinkly, as if they had all rapidly lost weight. I screamed and floored the gas pedal all the way home. As we neared my house, about 4 houses down, I saw another similar creature that was the same shade of odd pink and had the same texture of skin. This one, however, was taller and standing upright on 2 legs, half hidden in the shadows. We rushed the kids in, but neither of us slept that night. The next day, someone or something had slashed 2 of our car tires. Number 8. Back in 5th grade, when my friends had gone to the dentist or doctor and came back to school during recess, she had brought all of our friends' group these little plastic dogs that had legs which could move, so they walked. After recess, we all put our dogs in our pockets and headed to lunch. We got our food and sat at the table. Then one of the girls pulled out her dog, only to realize 2 of its legs were missing. We looked all around the lunchroom but couldn't find the dog legs, so we gave up. I opened my milk carton, which had been closed the whole time, and saw something floating in it. It was the toy dog legs. Somehow, they had all gone from attached to the dog in her pocket to floating in my closed milk carton. Everybody freaked out. Number 9. I saw a bicycle without a rider roll past me on the sidewalk. It then continued over a crosswalk, took a relatively sharp turn left, drove across a lawn, and parked itself on a bicycle rack. Then, the kickstand dropped down, like that's where it wanted to go. I know I'm not crazy. There was a group of Japanese students nearby, and they went all crazy when they saw it happen. I stood there for a good 10 minutes, waiting for someone to come running after the bike, but no one came. It was a freaking magical bike. Number 10. It was 3 a.m. and I was driving home with a friend of mine. There was very little traffic on the interstate. Up ahead on the side of the road, I see what looks like a man sitting on a guardrail. I got a horrible feeling in my gut. I had the feeling this guy was going to do something bad. I honestly felt as though he was going to jump in front of our truck to commit suicide or something. As we get closer, he stands up. I move into the next lane. As we get closer, He starts walking into the road. I start panicking. There was no time to slow down, and I cannot swerve to avoid him for fear of rolling the truck. My friend and I start screaming. Just as we were about to hit it, what I thought was a man jumps and has wings. Jumps over the entire truck. It was only visible for a second, but I can still remember it clear as day. It had the body of a man from the head to the waist, but from its waist down was hairy. The wings were also dark. The feet were the worst. Instead of human feet, these were horrible talons, similar to that of a chicken, but also dark and hairy. The best comparison I could make is that it looked like a human-sized gargoyle. I know it sounds like a little crap, and I probably wouldn't believe me either, but I swear it's the truth. In total honesty, I wish it wasn't true. It was the most horrifying thing I have ever seen. If my friend hadn't seen it as well, I would have think I'd gone crazy. Also, since this is the internet, I doubt most will believe me anyway. I just wanted to share my story. On a side note, in the past few years since that night, I've met one other person that has seen the same, if not extremely similar creature.